What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cast from the Crypt, the #1 comedy podcast about Tales from the Crypt and other hilarious and horrifying things. And I say that it's the #1 comedy podcast because I'm pretty sure that the other ones are just about Tales from the Crypt, but I don't know if they're comedy podcasts. But this is why you should probably do some market research before you put out a podcast. But hey, don't tell me that. I'm the goddamn host of this show, CJ Roby. And every week I'm watching an episode of Tales from the Crypt now that I'm a big horror fan and no longer afraid of puppet zombies. But I don't really have to worry about that with this episode because it is not horrifying. This is a straight up comedy episode. Yeah, this is one of the ones where the whole episode is just, oh, hey, sit back and watch some terrible shit happen to this massive douchebag, which is hey, it's one of my favorite genres of anything. So, the episode comes from, it's another shock suspense story. If you've been paying attention to the comic versus show, you will know that Tales from the Crypt, the comics there are various issues. There is Vault of Horror, the Old Witch Chronicles. I don't fucking remember. But Shock Suspense Stories was one of the publications, and so anytime we have just a straight up crime story or just a straight up like weird mystery or intrigue or some shit like that story, more than likely it's getting lifted from Shock Suspense Stories. And now that we've had 2 of them in a row, I'm wondering, can we go for the big 3? Will we have? I actually don't think that so far that we've had 3 episodes in a row from the same source. But hey, who knows? We got another one. We're almost there. We're 2 out of 3 so far for Shock Suspense Stories, so maybe that'll be our first one. Today's episode is about the dangers of rock and roll living. It really just, when you're in that life, when you're in the life of a promoter or a venue owner or something like that, and you get to brush shoulders with the stars all the time, sometimes it can get a little taxing and you just want to get away from it all. Well, that's what this guy tried to do in this episode, and it didn't really work out for him because when you're rubbing shoulders with all the rock and roll types, sometimes you're a bit of a dickhead yourself to compensate for the level of douchebaggery that comes out of rock and roll egos. And it all just blends together into the perfect storm of douchebaggery that ends up getting a couple of people killed. So, hey, you know what? Like I said, we just gotta sit back here, relax, and just laugh at the woes of people who are essentially millionaires. Well, I mean, who knows? I don't know. You know what? I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil the episode. I just want to get into it because this episode has a lot going for it. And you will find out just how much this episode's got going for it when we hit those top 5 credits. So here's the thing about the top 5 this week. There is no top 5. There's no top 5. Everybody is fucking gold in this episode. I was just talking about it a couple of episodes ago where it's just like, oh, I wonder when we're gonna be getting back to just the sort of shit where they're just cramming in all of the talent into one episode. And hey, here it is. We got it. Let me just, man. Yeah, there's no, I can't choose between these people. I can only give you a list of the kind of shit that you're about to witness in this show. So here it goes. We've got so much, you guys. I mean, even in like the little side bit characters, you've got people like Paul Rudd's friend in Halloween, which he was in. Paul Rudd was in Halloween 4, and like he has a buddy like at the very beginning of the movie. The dude doesn't even die. He doesn't even get killed by Michael. He just shows up. He's just Paul Rudd's buddy, but he's in this. We already have a Halloween credit right off the top. Dude, one of the guards is in Spawn. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This dude, I forget exactly who he is in Spawn. He's probably just a bit character. He's also a bit character in Mystery Men, which is one of it's not one of my favorite movies, but it definitely makes me laugh super hard every single time I see it. Like, it's so dumb. It's a classic comedy. And I mean, speaking of comedies, one of the cop is one of the jive guys from Airplane in like one of the funniest scenes of that movie. The two dudes speaking jive. It's come on, Sam Kinnison is in this episode, and he was one of the biggest, just raunchiest names in comedy in the 90s. He was a stand-up that so many people were like hanging out with and stuff. And I mean, I was listening to a little bit of his stuff like before recording the episode, like leading up to this episode. And I mean, I can only listen to like a little bit of it at a time, which for reasons you will understand during the course of this episode. But still, like, they landed Sam Kinnison. It's crazy how many people. I mean, the movie was directed and written by the guys behind Roger Rabbit, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. This episode has everything. Fucking Iggy Pop is like one of the main, I mean, not the main character, but he's the main background character, because he's just singing his brains out and throwing out F-bombs just all day. That's all he does in this show, is just kind of wobble around on stage and throw the most fucks I've ever heard in one sentence. I mean, even his backline has like actual like musician. It has people. It's got the guitarist from Blondie and like a couple of guys who have played with like Bowie and shit. But I guess I do have a top credit. I mean, if someone's gonna be at the top of the list, at my list anyway, it's definitely gonna be Katie Sagal, because she's in this episode. And come on, you know Katie Sagal, Peg Bundy from Married with Children, Leela on Futurama, and somebody in Sons of Anarchy. I never watched that show. But in this, she plays 90s sex symbol Miss Kielbasa. I just can't get over that name. And also, the main guy is somebody that you've probably seen a lot. He's been in a lot of stuff. I can't come up with the list off the top of my head right now. I didn't put him on the actual list because there was just too much to do. Ugh. So let's stage dive right into this pit. Season 2, Episode 8, For Crying Out Loud. This comes out May 22nd, 1990, and is about a rock promoter with no conscience who has a change of heart. That's what it's about. It's really about just changing your perception and just trying to be a better person. That's what the episode's really about. We begin the episode by learning a little something about the Cryptkeeper. He's actually a failed musician. He says he always wanted to play guitar, but he couldn't get the fingering right. And then he's using an actual finger as a pick, and then he throws it over to some rats and calls them his groupies. I like that joke. But yeah, Cryptkeeper seems like the failed musician type, you know. who would even want to be in a band with the Cryptkeeper? I mean, come on. Honestly, unless it's like some like Swedish like black metal band who just like, oh, he is already dead. It is the most metal you could be. Please come join us and play guitar for us. Then oh my god, the joke accent has infected me. No. But Metallica's not gonna be letting this dude into their ranks. You know, they're not about to pick up the goddamn Cryptkeeper as a guest guitarist at any point. And especially if he's over here wearing a stupid ass Marty Slash t-shirt and a dumb hair metal wig. Like, god damn it, he's much closer to a groupie than to any sort of musician. But he does throw out some pretty good puns. You know how he does. He talks about our main character, Marty Slash, whose shirt he's wearing, and we open on Marty's last days. Well, I was gonna say as a promoter, but it's really his last day on Earth, because it starts with an electric chair. It's the first thing that you see. You already know what's going down. The priest and 2 guards are slowly walking a pleading man up to his final fate, and you just hear him behind them just like, please, please. And I definitely thought this was going to be like the opening of Man Who Was Death Part 2. So the priest is reading a couple of words, and then the guy gets impatient. He's just like, please, God. And he busts through behind there. He's like, please let me die. Oh, God, please do it. So he busts into the room, and there's like clown music playing while he's strapping his damn self into the chair. He's like, do it. Kill me, please! And all the while, he's just kind of yelling to nobody, like, "Oh, you think you're funny, huh? Like, you got a fucking joke for everything, do you?" And he's just like, he's just talking to himself. And one of the guards is like, "You ever seen?" I really love the guard's line read for this dude. "You ever seen somebody so ready to die?" Acting in the 90s was so easy. And the guards are just like, who the fuck are you talking to, man? But he's just like, fucking pull the switch, do it, kill me. And so yeah, they do. They're not gonna not kill him just because he's asking for it. But I thought he was gonna be like possessed by something, because he was just like, oh yeah, like, How do you like your brain scrambled? And I was just like, is he like a ghost who like possessed some dude and then like, pushed his personality down and then ended up going to jail and taking over? So now he's just like, yeah, I'll kill us both. I'm a demon. I don't give a fuck. I'm just going back to where I came from. But it's less complicated than that. I mean, I guess, depending on how you see it. So yeah, they flip the switch and they shock the shit out of him, and then it like zooms into his ear, and then everything goes dark, zooms back out, and it's 2 years earlier. He's in a doctor's office, and you hear kind of like a muffled like, and it's just him getting his ears checked by a doctor. He's like, did you hear that? I don't know what I'm hearing, but you have to have heard that one, doctor. And the doctor's just like, well, fucking, I don't know. I don't see anything. How long ago did this start? He tells him that it's been going on for a couple weeks, and it's just getting louder. And but the doctor just kind of brushes him off. He's like, it's fine. Like, your ears are wrecked from being in the rock and roll business for too long. You're a club promoter and stuff. You're just destroying your ears. So here, take these. He gives him some earplugs and like some cotton swabs and some medication and stuff. And he's like, yeah, like these will help, but my only real advice is to just drop out of the rock and roll business. And Marty, the guy's name is Marty Slash, not the doctor, the main character. His name is Marty Slash. And Marty's just like, what, get out tonight? I don't fucking think so. And it's because tonight is the Save the Amazon concert. It's Marty Slash's Save the Amazon concert, headlined by Iggy Pop and Leather Weasel. And the club is fucking jumping. The place is packed. Iggy Pop is on stage. He's just over here just looking like the Machinist, looking like Christian Bale on the stage, just screaming. And Marty's just kind of hanging out on the side of the stage, just watching. And he's like standing next to some Indian chief guy. Like he's standing next to a man made out of totem poles. That's what I could gather from this. He was just like standing there just looking, just staring at him. But so yeah, he's like some 90s Indian chief kind of character. He's even got like a spear. I didn't know what was going on. But the song finishes, and Iggy introduces Marty. He brings him out onto the stage, and he brings him out with like the most fucks in a row that I've ever seen on TV, even on HBO. Like I don't know if Game of Thrones like beat this, where he's just like, oh, it's so fucking good to see I don't know. I don't think Iggy Pop is British. I don't know. I think I just want to do accents all day. But no, he brings out Marty, and he's just like, we got one guy to thank, and this is fucking Marty's idea, and we gotta fucking get fucking Marty up on stage so he can fucking tell you about the fucking rainforest. And it was like, God damn, Iggy. Like, I get it, but like, you're making so much work for the censors at Fox. The thing about Tales from the Crypt is that they kind of made two separate episodes of each episode, just like one for HBO and then the other because they knew that they were going to be shipping it off to other places, and they couldn't have just a bunch of titties and fucks in their show the whole time. So they were planning on it. So I guess that's probably why they felt like they had the freedom. They were just like, we're already gonna make a clean version. All right, we don't need to even think about toning this shit down. Like, honestly, this episode makes me kind of want to watch the network version of this show and just compare it, because like I'm pretty sure that just like the song would be done and then Marty would just teleport onto the stage. They wouldn't even give Iggy the chance to introduce him. They're just like, nah, we just gotta get him out here on the edit. So Marty comes out. He thanks everybody for being there, and he pulls out $1 million check for the chief of the Amazon peoples, who that fucking totem pole looking man was. He's just standing there on stage, just silently holding his spear, and he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna make sure that all this $1 million gets to you and your tribe. And I'm over here thinking, all right, if you're raising money for this dude, why were you just standing next to him, just like staring at him before he came out? Like, you guys weren't talking. You weren't like, oh, hey, like this went great. Like, good job, you know? You were just weirdly staring at each other. So I was just like, this is probably some bullshit. And lo and behold, they get off stage, and the Amazon guy just like, oh, did I do good, boss? So he just fucking sends him away and goes upstairs to his office in the club to go look at all the money that he just earned and that he's about to take off with. He is not giving that money to no one. So he's just up there. He opens a safe and he like smells his money. He's like, ooh, $1 million. These suckers have no idea. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously a slime ball. I mean, just like look at the dude and listen to him talk. Obvious piece of shit Marty Slash over here. Then he hears somebody tell him not to touch the money. He's like, what the fuck? Who's that? And the voice of Sam Kinnison comes in and is just like, hey, you don't want to do that, man. Come on. And he's like, what is this? And Sam Kinnison tells him that he is his conscience. Oh shit, he finally grew one, because Marty's just like, I don't have a conscience. And Sam Kinnison's like, yeah, I know, man. I've been trying to get at you for 38 years, bro. And he makes a comment about like, he's just like, you let the kid glue a dog's eyes shut one time, and he's evil for life. It's just like, geez, yeah. I mean, yes, that's exactly the sort of thing that a conscience is not supposed to let people do. I mean, yeah, the evil just becomes too strong after you're over here gluing dogs' eyes shut. Like, yeah, there's no coming back from it. But Marty tries to brush it off. He's just like, oh, it can't be real. I'm obviously just kind of breaking down slightly because I just got all this money that I'm about to get. But he's his conscience just won't stop. Sam Kinnison is just over here yelling in his mind. He's just like, you're gonna like get butt fucked in prison forever if you get caught, and I'm in your mind, so I know with the amount of brains you have, you're definitely getting caught. Kinnison is just killing this fool the whole episode. This entire episode is just Sam Kinnison just screaming and bringing this dude straight down. It's pretty hilarious. So Marty's just like, what do I owe any of these people for? Like, I'm always just being like talked down to by these fucking guitarists and bands and shit. Oh, Marty, do this, Marty, do that. I'm tired of it. Now I got all my money and I'm out of here. But you know, the thing about being an obvious slime ball is that everyone fucking knows it. So there's already a cop who has just shown up to the club to look for Marty. So he's already stolen all this money. He's already planning to make his getaway, and there's already a cop at his fucking place. But this episode, you will see soon that this episode is more about Marty getting into and out of sticky situations at the, just to spite his conscience. So don't worry about Marty. We already know where he ends up. So, I mean, you'll see how it happens. But most of this episode is just like close shaves, Marty getting away from it, and then Sam Kinnison just being like, Marty, you fucking idiot! So Marty's about to make his getaway with the cash, but then all of a sudden, somebody knocks on the door. Oh shit, he was almost out, and now he's scrambling. He puts all of his money into like a case, and he like sets it aside and shit, and his conscience is like, it's the cops! And he's like, shut the hell up, man. You've already said that. And and Sam's like, yeah, my warning was a little premature, but you know all about that, don't you? Hit the comedy drum track. So he goes to the door, and it's not the cops. It's actually big-tittied goth babe Kathy Seagal. And she comes in, and she's just like, ooh, hey, you're Marty Slash, right? You saved the rainforest, huh? Hell, allow me to help you. You've got so much stress on your back. Yeah, I just wanted to come up here and help lighten your load. And fucking Sam Kinnison is just like, nah, this bitch is trouble. But Marty's not gonna listen. He's all about it. So they go sit down on Marty's couch, and Marty's just like, let's just skip the foreplay and get right to it. and and ladies, look, hey, I'm sorry you got to deal with guys like this out here. Like, they don't represent me, but I know that there's sure as shit a lot of them out there that you're gonna have to fucking dig through. So he's just like, skip the foreplay, get straight to it. And she pulls out a thimble for her finger, and he's like, wait a minute, I hope that's not for me. And she's just like, don't worry, it's for me. And he's like, cool. And I was like, I really don't. I don't like where this is going. I don't know what's going on here. Like, I don't know if that's about to be going up Marty's butthole or something, but he seems to be fine with it. I didn't know that there were just like finger condoms, but he's all about it. He's ready. As long as it's not going on his dick and he doesn't have to feel bad about himself, she can do whatever to Marty Slash. But before they get down to business, they got some business to take care of. And he's just like, fuck, you're a hooker. And she's, no, not a hooker. I'm actually your banker. Your fucking banker for some reason. I was like, what the fuck? His banker? You went undercover? Does he have a personal banker that what's happening right here? Is she an accomplice? Yeah, she like takes off this big fucking Elvira wig and she throws on some glasses to make herself look more professional and bankerish, I guess. And like, I don't know if they were trying to be like, well, she's gotta take off the wig and put the glasses on so that they know that she's like not, she's all nerdy and she's not one of these hot punk chicks. But I mean, she's still super you just made her hotter. And he recognizes her. He's like, her name is Miss Kielbasa. Like, what the fuck? But it's understandable. She's definitely very spicy in that outfit. So, she's like, oh yeah. So, what happened to that $1 million that you withdrew all at once at the bank like yesterday? And I was like, what kind of moron? You're trying to steal $1 million from your own thing, and you're just like, well, no one will suspect me if I just take out all the money in cash. Like, how fucking stupid do you have to be? Like, God damn it. I hope he wasn't trying to trade in that spiked choker for a white collar, because this guy's a fucking moron. So, she's blackmailing him, and he's got tickets to Portugal in his jacket pocket, and she grabs that, and she's like, oh, you're going to Portugal, huh? I hear the Escudo is pretty strong these days, which is how you know this is solidly in the 90s, because the Escudo is not money anymore. Portugal's on the euro. I had to look that shit up because I was like, I've never heard of the Escudo before. It's like, oh, that's because it used to be like Spanish galleons before actual money took over. Oh wait, galleons? No. Galleons are the boats. I'm thinking of Harry Potter. Fucking doubloons are what I'm thinking of. So, she's gonna blackmail him, and she wants half of the $1 million. And she's like, where's the money? And he looks directly at the briefcase with like a cartoon like noise. And that's like half of this episode. Half of this episode is fucking clown music, and then the other half is just like Acme sound effects. He's like, fuck that. This was my plan. Like, I got it all together. I have the money and everything. And she's like, oh, yeah? Well, I mean, I could have blown the whistle on you when I saw that you were taking out all that money, but I didn't. So, hey, you owe me. And his conscience is just like, well, look what you got yourself into, you dumbass. But he's just like, okay, all right, you know what? You can have half of the money. And his conscience is like, no, just tell her to fuck off. He's like, nah, you can have your half. So she's counting the money. She's counting her half of the money. And he goes up behind her. He's like slinking behind. He's just like, you know what? 500,000 is more than I would have got anyway. And he like closes the blinds to his office and he makes his way over to this guitar. And he's like, yeah, it's really good that you're not gonna tell anyone on me. Hey, so, do you know who I got this guitar from? It's really cool, right? And she looks at it and she's like, I don't know. Who did you get it from? And he smashes her over the head with it. And he's like, I got it from Pete Townsend, which I guess is I guess it's a rock joke. Look, so many people do the whole guitar smash thing. And I don't fucking know. Did Townsend invent it or some shit? Like, who knows? So he smashes her, and it's a very nice cut between like Iggy on stage, like doing a whole thing, and then like the silhouette of the office as he's like bringing the guitar up and down, and then just like kind of cuts into seeing him like actually like swinging down. It's a very nice, nicely edited sequence right there. So after that, he shoves her into a drum case, which I'm pretty sure that they had like an actual like contortionist person who got put into that drum case, because like that was very convincing. There was no way that was like a puppet or something. And like I didn't know. I was just like, did they like cut the bottom out of the floor or something on that drum case? Because he actually got that person into that fucking drum case. Like this is Ocean's 11 or some shit. So he packs her up, and there's blood and money all over the place. There's a cop still gonna show up. He's actually walking up the stairs like as this is happening. And Sam Kinnison in Marty's head starts to just fucking go crazy. He's like, you never listen to me, man. Like all I've been trying to do is lead you the right way, but you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna have to be a bit louder. And then he fucking starts just screaming in this fool's head. And I mean, it's the scream that everybody was waiting Sam Kinnison to do. Like when they saw his name on this episode, it's his whole thing. But Marty's actually starting to feel like physical pain from this. Like as Kinnison screams, like Marty's just like, fuck my brains. And the cop got one of the roadie guys to show him where Marty's office is. So they start knocking on the door, and he's still just like doubled over and screaming and stuff. And they open the door, and it's just Marty with a guitar. He's just singing. He's just pretending to sing so badly. And they're just like, oh, he's just singing up here. Another great line read from the roadie guy. And he's just like, oh, what seems to be the problem, officer? And the officer's just like, man, everyone around in the area has been telling me that you need to shut the fuck up. Everything is way too loud over here. And Marty's just like, oh, thank God, it's just a noise complaint. Bro, I will turn that shit down immediately, right now. I couldn't even hear it because of the earplugs, doctor's orders. And then as the cop's leaving, one of them shoots out and pops him in the back of the neck and lands on the drum case. So there's like a whole like tension scene about, oh, is the cop gonna figure out it's the drum case? No, of course not. It's just so that Sam Kinnison can keep screaming for him to confess. He has the roadie get the drum case out of there, and everything's fine for him now. Like it's all good. He's got the body gone, the cop is gone, like, everything's fine. He can just take his money and go. But you know what? That wouldn't be very conscientious of him, would it? So Marty's had it. He's just going to do everything he can to get this voice out of his head. And so he literally, it's just a whole scene of him using everything that the ear doctor gave him, like all the swabs and all the cream and the drops and shit. And then it's just Sam Kinnison pretending like he's drowning when he puts in the drops and shit. You know, like it's actually fucking doing anything to a voice in his brain. And Marty's starting to lose it. He goes for a pencil, and he's just like, like anything, I just need something. And Sam Kinnison's like, yeah, do it, bro. Drive that pencil straight into your brain so you can try and get at me, you idiot. But Marty's just like, no, you know what? You're right. I am being an idiot right now. I got a plane to catch. I got to get the fuck out of here. So he packs up all of his stuff, and he goes out of his office. He's like, all I have to do is walk down the stairs and go outside, and everything will be fine. But he starts walking down, and Kinnison's just like, okay, well, you know what? Since you won't tell anybody, I'm just going to tell everybody. And as soon as he's out of the privacy of his office, Kinnison just starts screaming. He's like, I killed the banker. She's upstairs in the drum case. And everyone starts giving Marty like weird looks as Sam Kinnison is screaming this. And he's just slowly walking toward the exit, just trying to get out of there so that no one can hear anything over the crowd. And Kinnison's just like, oh, believe me, bro, they fucking hear me now. I killed her. And every time Kinnison starts screaming his confession and stuff, everyone's just looking at Marty like, oh shit, like what? Oh my god. And he's starting to get all paranoid. He's starting to like see them noticing him. And before he can make it out, the cop is still at the door. So Kinnison's just like, oh, what, you're just gonna walk past him so that I can tell him? And Marty just kind of dips into the bathroom, scares everybody else in there because of Kinnison screaming that he's a murderer. And so everybody leaves, including there's just like they just throw in a random like cross-dresser at the urinal. Like these two dudes run, and then you just see like this dude in a dress just like hiking everything up, just trying to get the fuck away from Marty. So he's just like, dude, this is impossible, like I gotta get the fuck out of here. And Kinnison's just like, well, I mean, they can fucking hear me, because otherwise, why are they so scared of you and running away, And Marty says, well, fucking, it doesn't matter, because the music is too loud for anybody to hear whatever voice is coming out of his head, and all he has to do is leave. But Kinnison's just like, well, I can turn up the volume too. Just starts screaming, just for no reason. So Marty's dying over here. He's losing his absolute mind. And his solution is to just go turn up the music even louder so that no one can hear Sam in his mind, and he can just get out of there. So he's just pushing through the crowd. Everyone's looking at him while Sam's just screaming his confessions and stuff. And it was about here. It's about the crowd shot where I figured out that I had been seeing the same side of this fool's face for like ever now. They were only shooting him from one side, and I was just like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are fucking doing, but we'll get to that in a second. He moves through the crowd, and he finds his dude. He finds his engineer, his sound guy, who is Paul Rudd's best friend, and he tells him to turn the music back up. And he's like, you just told me to turn it down. I'll fucking turn it up now. And he just does it himself and makes his way to the stage. So he's up on stage now, and he's just got his whole ass face in the speaker, just trying to drown out Sam Kinnison's insane yelling from his head. And now that the music's up, he turned it all up. The cop was still there. He hadn't even left yet. He was about to leave, and then he turns everything up, and the cop's just like, that little son of a... So he's just on stage now, and he is bashing his head into the speakers because he's lost it. It's over. You know, he's just gone crazy from this voice in his head. And he's just doing everything that he can. He's just blasting his ears apart while bashing his face against this speaker. And I don't know if the cop turns off the music or if we're supposed to think that he damaged the sound system or something like that. But he just puts his head straight through the speaker like it's one of those ones with the mesh out in front, and his head just goes straight through it, and everything just stops. And his conscience goes, oh, yeah, I know everybody heard me that time. So Marty freaks out. Why are you all looking at me? Like, why do you think everyone's looking at you? You just are just cracking your head on the speakers. But then he just lays the whole thing out. He's like, I didn't mean to kill her. I didn't mean to kill my banker. She was trying to take half of the money, but I still have the money. And he starts throwing money at people. And the cop is just in the crowd just watching him. He starts coming up, and then he realizes the camera. So the whole time, like I said, the camera was just on one side of his face. And then it finally like pans to like the full front of his face, and remember the whole ear medication just jamming shit in his ears the whole time. He just had a big ass cotton swab just stuck straight up in his brain, which scrambled it probably enough to why he's such a dumbass. Like, I understand the adrenaline. Like, yeah, I get it, but my God. But he finally realizes, and then it's just Sam Kinnison just laughing at him. He's just like, oh, looks like that's why everybody was looking at you, huh? Your guilty conscience. No one could even hear me. They were just looking at your disgusting swab wound over here. And that's why everyone was so terrified of you, you dumbass. All you had to do was shut up. But, I mean, obviously he would have had to go to the hospital. He still would have had to walk by that cop. But, you know, he's caught. He said it. He already did it. So next thing you know, he's just sitting there in his jail cell, just listening to Sam Kinnison just be hella irritating. He's just doing like a priest and a rabbi go into an alleyway or some shit joke. And, you know, just being irritating. Like, look, I get it. You know, you can only listen to Sam Kinnison scream for so long. And this fool had to do it for 2 years while he waited to die. So, the guards come up and they're just like, oh, you ready to go, bro? And the other guy's like, oh, don't bother. He's deaf as a doornail. So he throws a piece of gum at him to get his attention. And then once he realizes they're there, he's just like, oh, is it time? Can I die? Is it time? And then, yeah, it's just right back to where we started. So the Cryptkeeper comes back over here, smashing skulls with the guitar. Like, yeah, I get it. Haha. Fucking Kathy Seagal got her brains knocked in with the guitar. But you know what? The Cryptkeeper is not, like, rock and roll enough. He's not badass enough to be over here smashing guitars. You need to stick to puns if you're gonna be over here dressing up like gypsies and Santa Clauses and shit throughout this show. Not very rock and roll. So that's the end of the episode. Like, another like I said, just a straight up comedy. Like, this was really just the episode for them to just get as wacky as possible, which, makes sense because it's the Roger Rabbit guys. I like this episode. Would I say it was the strongest episode that I've seen so far in season 2? No. But it is definitely really fun. And, the Roger Rabbit guys killed it. Like, if there's any horror thing that they would ever be behind, and I mean, this isn't even a horror one, but Tales from the Crypt is versatile enough to, just be able to throw in all these different kinds of shit, and they can make a joke out of pretty much anything, we'll see as the as the show continues. We'll see how far they go, but I guarantee that there's just so much, like, this show has such a strength to it, being able to play with all that stuff as an anthology series, even to the point where it doesn't even have to be horror. Like, all it has to be is somebody dies. Like, that's it. Just like, I wonder if there's gonna be an episode where it's just like, oh well, I mean, someone just like tripped down the stairs and like there's just like a whole mystery and a bunch of people were at each other's throats, but then it turned out that it was just like some random like dumb shit accident. But we'll see. That's a prediction a little further down the line. But right now it's time to look into the past. Look at this. And check out the source comic. It's time for Comic versus Show. Today's episode comes out of Shock Suspense Stories 15. Once again, we got another Shock Suspense story. Honestly, I gotta start counting the stories that we get out, because we're almost halfway through this season. So I gotta start planning for the award show. But since this is Shock Suspense Stories, that means that nobody is hosting it. There's no Vault Keeper, no Old Witch, no nothing. So it's just kind of a story. The comic is very different from this episode in terms of like setting and like the scenario, but it's generally the same premise. And I'm sure that they brought in Sam Kinnison because of his reputation for just killing hecklers and just being a general asshole. So that's why they brought him in to do the narration and the conscious voice, because in this comic, it's very, it's very persistent. It's always just like, oh yeah, you fucked up, man. Like, hey, what are you gonna do now, huh? Oh, what's that coming around the corner? Oh shit, can they hear me? I'm sure they can. Everyone can hear you, and it's relentless. So they needed somebody to kind of match that energy. But in the comic, like, it starts off sounding like it's encouraging him. It's like, oh yeah, do it, Marty. Like, yeah, kill her. Like, but then it just kind of flips on him and starts being like, oh man, everyone knows that you did it. So that's really the first major change. He's not a rock and roll promoter. He's still Marty. His name is Marty Boardman, and he's a wanted embezzler, and he's on the run right now. So he's pretty much the main guy in this, is pretty much what Marty was gonna be if he got away with that $1 million. So I guess they just took that back like a couple of steps in order to make an episode for TV. He's been cooped up for a little bit, so he goes out to this bar and he meets a lady named Millie Kilbasa. No, her name is Millie Belson, and she's supposed to be Katie Seagal, and they kind of hang out. They're flirting a little bit, but he gets cocky. He's over here flashing his cash, and then all of a sudden she's just, wait a minute, I know this fool's face. oh, hey, you want to come home with me, Marty? And he had gave her a fake name, so but he doesn't care. He's just like, oh yeah, let's go. And then they're in an alleyway, and she's just like, yeah. Oh yeah, what's up, Marty? What's going on, bro? I know your fucking face, and I want half of your money. So he just out and chokes her out right there in the alley. He's not having it. Instead of smashing her head in with a guitar. They really just needed a rock and roll angle for everything. I wonder why that episode became this. Like they were just like, "Oh yeah, let's just get Iggy Pop to come hang out and all this other shit." But who knows? Who knows? I can't find any interviews online. They were very secretive about their time at Tales from the Crypt, apparently, or maybe I'm just not digging hard enough. If anybody knows any like interviews with people about their time during Tales from the Crypt, please send it to me. So he's not in a club or anything, so he's just running down the street, just encountering people, and they're all the people who are just looking at him, just like, oh shit, oh god. And he still ends up running into a cop, and he still ends up doing a small musical number. And the whole time, the voice in his head is just talking a bunch of shit. So pretty much the next thing that happens, it's all the same thing. And then the next thing that happens is he runs into a boiler factory. It says, "Oh, boiler factory now hiring." He's like, "Oh, I'll just go in there and apply so I can just drown you out and think for a minute." And he goes in there, and I don't know what a boiler factory is. It's loud in there, I would assume, because it's machinery, but it just sounds like some 50s job from back in the steampunk days. I don't know. But everything's just super loud, and he's just over here losing his mind, and then everything goes quiet. Everything goes quiet, and everybody's looking at him. And he's just like, all right, fine, I'll confess. I killed her. She's in the alley, blah, blah, blah. And so, he does his whole thing. And instead of him having a cotton swab in his ear, the difference is that he just has a giant claw mark across his face that Millie gave him while she was fighting back. And throughout the whole comic, instead of just having only like half of his face, like most of the time you can see kind of the front of his face, but a lot of it's in shadow, so you just don't know. So yeah, they just called the cops on him, and he went to jail because of his conscience, and all he had to do was shut his damn mouth. So those are all the differences between the episode and the comic. I got one more thing to leave you with, and that's Shriek of the Week. Alright, this week's Shriek of the Week isn't necessarily gonna make you shriek, but it might make you howl with laughter. Hey, you know what? I can even do this Cryptkeeper shit. It's another podcast that I really love and is kind of in the same vein as this. And I know that I'm pretty much kneecapping myself by shouting out other podcasts. But you know what? Some of your commutes are very long. But it's called In Voorhees We Trust with Gorley and Rust. And also the other season, In Myers We Trust with Gyers and Rust. And it is... and it's a podcast where these comedians... They watch every Halloween and Friday the 13th movie, and they just kind of break it down and discuss it and talk about it. And they're comedians, so they know all sorts of people who have worked on all that shit. So they just have a good time, and they just watch the movies and talk a bunch of shit, and it's really fun. So you know what? I recommend it to everybody, because that's the kind of shit that I listen to. All right, everyone. So that's it for me. Oh, and you can find that on Stitcher. I'm pretty sure that Gyers, I think the Halloween one is Stitcher Premium. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, go check it out, and if you don't have Stitcher Premium, then shit. Look, I'm not paid by Stitcher to fucking to boost their shit. I don't have a fucking offer code to get you your first month free. So, you know what? Do what you want. But it is a good podcast. All right, everybody. That's it for me. Thanks for listening. I hope you had a good time. This podcast is going to get more consistent. I promise you that. I've been having a lot of like changes in my work schedule and all this other stuff, but soon we're gonna get back on track with this, and hopefully the podcast is just gonna get even better, more fun. I'm gonna be able to do more stuff with it. So, just stay tuned, keep having fun with me, and keep being appreciated by me, because everything that you do, it's great. It's great. You're great. I love you. Don't tell the other listeners I said that. It's just for you. All right, folks, take it easy. You can find me on the internets at CJ Damocha, CJDAMOCHA, and you can find me on Twitch playing all sorts of nonsense. Later, everybody, and stay spooky.